What if a country decided that religious freedom should only be granted when its citizens receive the same freedom abroad? What if one nation looked at restriction on churches in parts of the Middle East and asked a controversial question? Why should we allow the unrestricted construction of mosques here when Christians cannot really build churches there? This debate has sparked heated discussion across Europe and beyond. Supporters, of course, call it a matter of fairness and reciprocality, like what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Critics argue it undermines a very principle of religious freedom. At the center of this debate is Poland, a country known for its strong Christian identity, deep religious tradition, and increasingly vocal stance on immigration and cultural preservation. But what is the truth behind these claims? Why does Poland actually treat Muslims? How do they treat Muslims? What is the situation for Christians in Saudi Arabia? And what does genuine religious freedom really mean in a modern world? Stay with us as we explore one of the most controversial religious and political debates of our time. Poland is one of Europe's most religious countries. For centuries, Christianity has played a central role in shaping Polish identity. Churches dominated city skylines. Religious festivals are deeply woven into everyday life. For many Poles, faith is not merely a personal belief but a vital part of their national heritage. At the same time, Europe has experienced significant immigration over the past several decades, going with the unrest in the Middle East and Africans' brain drain and insecurity. There has been a surge of migration to Europe, right? Millions of Muslims, of course, now live throughout the continent. Many have become successful professionals, entrepreneurs, politicians, and respected members of society. However, the rapid demographical change has also sparked concern among some Europeans regarding integration, security, and cultural preservation. Poland has become one of the strongest voices in this debate because at the moment their stance is, why would we give you permission to build churches, sorry, to build mosques in Poland while there is no single mosque in Saudi Arabia? And we are very religious people and want to preserve our culture, our heritage. So we don't need another culture. You can migrate and stay with us, but we don't need your mosques. Okay, let's understand this. Images of social media posts often circulate and has said that Poland has officially declared that no mosque will be built until churches are allowed in Saudi Arabia. Of course, some celebrated it, others condemn it, and the reality is often more complex and than viral social media posts. Of course, political leaders, activists, commentators, and religious organizations have expressed various views regarding religious reciprocality. However, understanding the broader discussion requires looking beyond slogans and examining the historical and religious text behind these arguments. Let's look at Polish Christian heritage. To understand Polish position, we must first understand its history. Christianity arrived in Poland over 1,000 years ago. The faith became a cornerstone of national identity. During periods of foreign occupation and communist rule, the church often served as a symbol of resistance and cultural survival. Many Poles therefore view Christianity not simply as religion but as part of their national foundation. So trying to drag it alongside Islam is not going to go well with some of them, right? As a result, changes that appear to challenge traditional cultural values can generate significant public attention. Now let's talk about the Muslim community in Poland. Despite common assumption that Muslims have lived in Poland, despite common assumptions, Muslims have lived in Poland for centuries. The Lipka Tatars settled in the region hundreds of years ago. They maintain their Islamic faith while integrating into Polish society. Today, Poland have mosques, Islamic cultural centers, and Muslim communities. Compared to countries such as France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, Polish Muslim population remain relatively very small. Nevertheless, discussion about migration and religious accommodation continues to influence public discussions and discourse. Now, let's go to the Saudi Arabia quest. If you were conversant with history and the happenings around the world, there is no single church in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, there are a lot of Christians there. One reason the church versus mosque debate resonates with many people involves Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is home to Islam's two holiest cities, Mecca and Medina. The country follows a strict interpretation of Islamic law. The reality has led some Christians worldwide to ask why Islamic institutions should enjoy full freedom in Western countries while Christian institutions face restriction in some Muslim majority nations. No matter how busy you are, no matter how spiritual you are, you cannot be given permission or license to even practice your religion openly in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's Islam and there are limits. If you're a Jew, you're not even permitted to enter, I think, the holy city, right? So let's talk about Poland anyway. Supporters of reciprocity argue that equal treatment should work both ways. The argument for reciprocity supporters of the reciprocity principle often make several arguments. First, they claim fairness requires mutual respect. If you really want us to allow you to build mosques dominate Poland, very simple. Allow Christians build churches in Saudi Arabia. Secondly, they argue that nations should demand equal treatment for their citizens abroad. And thirdly, of course, there are poor citizens in Saudi Arabia, and you don't have any place to worship but your house and your mind, right? Thirdly, they believe religious freedom should be universal rather than selective. According to this perspective, allowing unrestricted religious expression is in one region while restricting it elsewhere creates an imbalance. Many supporters see reciprocity as a way to enjoy broader global religious freedom. The argument against reciprocity, let's talk about this. Critics strongly disagree. They argue that the religious freedom is a universal human right. Yeah, everybody is free to practice the religion as long as you're not interfering with another person's right. In this view, the rights of Muslims living in Europe should not depend on policies implemented in another country. Opponents warn that restricting religious rights can punish innocent individuals for decisions made by foreign governments. They contend that democratic society should uphold freedom of worship regardless of how other nations believe it. For them, religious liberty is a principle that should stand independently. Of course, let's look at the European debate. Poland is not the only country wrestling with these issues. Across Europe, discussions continue about immigration, national identity, integration, and religious expressions. Some governments have restricted face covering, others have debated mosque construction. Questions about balancing security, cultural preservation, and religious freedom remains politically sensitive. These debates often reveal deeper concern about identity and the future direction of European societies. Now, what does religious freedom mean? What do you know about us? Talk about it in the comments for me, right? At the heart of this discussion lies a fundamental question. And the question is, what does religious freedom truly mean? For some, it means allowing every individual to practice faith without interference. For others, it includes protecting a cultural and historical identity of a nation. Finding a balance between these goals can be difficult. Democratic societies constantly navigate these community priorities. Now, let's look at lessons from history. History provides religious lessons. Religious persecutions have affected countries, groups across centuries. Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, and many others have experienced God's presence. Religious persecution have affected countless groups across centuries. Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, and many others have experienced discrimination at different times and places. So it's not peculiar to Muslims in Poland, it has always been there in different parts of the globe. Many modern democracies were built on the idea that freedom of conscience should be protected for everyone. This protection emerged partly because history demonstrated the danger of religious oppression. A global challenge. Of course, religious freedom remains a challenge in many parts of the world. In some countries, Christians face restriction. In others, Muslims face discrimination. Everywhere, minority religion struggles for recognition. The broader goal of many human rights advocates is not simply defending one religion, but ensuring that all people can work and worship freely. The future. As globalization continues, societies will become increasingly diverse. Questions surrounding religious freedom, integration, and cultural identity are unlikely to disappear because people are a product of migration and there will always be conflict when they are minority in a community, right? Government, religious leaders, and citizens will continue debating how best to protect both individual and national tradition. The challenge will be finding solutions that promote a peaceful mutual respect and social cohesion. Now, the debate surrounding Poland mosques, churches, and religious freedom touches on some of the most important questions facing our world today. And here is it. How should society balance freedom and tradition? Should religious rights depend on reciprocity or should they be protected regardless of what they did? There are no easy answers, but one thing is certain. Open dialogue, historical understanding, and respect for human dignity remains essential if diverse communities are to live together peacefully. What do you think? Should countries practice religious reciprocity, where they deny your citizens right to some things religiously because of their faith in a country? You should reciprocate it in your own country too. What do you think about it? Should we talk about it in the comments? Share your thoughts in the comments. Or should freedom of worship remain unconditional? If you found this documentary insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And turn on notifications for more thought provoking stories from around the world. Thank you for watching and see you again in my next one. Bye.